Good day everyone, this is Sana Tanduyan from BSid English 1B, and today we are going to tackle about Bangladesh that is written by Hamid and Hassan in the book of multilingual class. So, question number 1. How English arrived in Bangladesh? The history of English in Bangladesh can be divided into three main phases of the political history of the nation, reflecting the changing rule and the status of English. The origin of English in Indian is subcontinent and the British colonial rule. The first encounters between the Indians and the British date from the 1630s when English trading factories were set up in Bengal. Initially, English was a language of trade between English factors and the local go-betweens with no commercial or institutional opportunities for its learning. The scope of learning English was widened in the next century with the establishment of the English schools, initially for European English and later for locals with the aim of spreading Western knowledge, English and English literature. Although English was gaining ground in the colonized company to the East Asian Company. The East India Company gave little encouragement to educational development in the late 18th and early 19th century. The new policy created a huge demand for English, which also replaced Persian as the language of colonial administration. In reality, however, English learning was restricted to the elite since education of the masses was provided local languages. Social divisive education policy was cemented by Wood's Dispatch in 1854, which formed the basis of English language policy until 1919, when the control of education was transferred to Indian ministers and provincial legislators. British left in 1947, creating the new nations of India and Pakistan. There was an unbridgeable gulf between New English using elites and the improvised masses. During the Pakistan era, constructing a new national languages, Urdu to unite linguistically, culturally, and geographically divided East and West, Pakistan called a significant political investment. In the new nation, English became a de facto foreign language. In the new nation, English became a de facto foreign language with a negligible role in internal communication in a largely monolingual country. As a symbol of national identity, Bangla replaced English in all important domains, including higher education, in the next few years. However, within a decade or so, English came under policy favor, arguably owing to the influence of globalization and privatization of education. Since the scope of developing proficiency in English in the national curriculum was restricted by national education policies, a private English education market was set up to cater to the needs and aspirations of the weather class. In the second decade of the 21st century, English finds itself in a complex linguistic ecology and socio-political imaginary in Bangladesh. As elsewhere in the world, English is an object of social desire because of the strong popular faith and what the language can offer. However, Bangla is a dominant in many areas of society. While the public sectors may depend with English, the booming private sector is increasingly relying on the global language. Question number 2. What is the status of English in terms of education and language policies in Bangladesh? Ascertaining the current status of English in Bangladesh is not a single task. This is mainly due to the absence of what is called status planning for English. There is no policy articulation about English that can be applied to the whole society. Although language questions have special significance in the social, cultural, and political life of the nation, language does not seem to have received commensurate policy investment. For example, the National Education Policy includes chapters on all conceivable forms of education, including adult of non-formal education. women's education, religious and moral education, physical education, and legal education, but no chapter is dedicated to languages or language education. There are other ways of understanding the status of the national and the global language and the relationships between them. While English has increasingly penetrated into Bangladesh under the influence of globalization, technology, and global flows of information, the lack of adequate functional proficiency in English among the general population is reported as a national concern. At the same time, the development of only limited proficiency in Bangla by a section of students, given their reliance on English, causes unease about the state of education in the country. Question number 3. Describe the functions of English in terms of education, employment, media and entertainment, politics, NGOs, creative writing, electronic communication pages. In education, education is a key domain where English has an overarching presence, both as a language for learning and as a language in which students are expected to develop functional proficiency. However, given the inefficient cultivation of English in education, English achievement is yet to have a significant impact on the society. The language enjoys the same curricular space and instructional time as a Bangla. Even though Bangla is the medium of instruction, at this level of education, individual schools are allowed to teach in English version of the curriculum provided they have adequate resources and teacher expertise. Madrasa education is another major stream which caters for 17% of the student population. There are multiple systems of madrasas stream called Aiya Madrasas is funded and managed by the government. The standard curriculum for Aiya Madrasa includes courses in Islam, Arabic, and general subjects, including Bangla, English, science, and mathematics. As in mainstream education, English is compulsory from grade 1 to 12 in the Aiya Madrasa system. In employment, the domain of employment does not allow for an easy to reliable assessment of the role of English. While jobs in certain sectors may require high level of English proficiency and other communication skills, Bangla may suffice in many others. In general, English plays a more dominant role in the private sector than in the public sector. Within the former education, ready-made garment, information technology, and banking sectors demand functional English proficiency from the employees. The English employment nexus was established during the British colonial period and has strengthened in a neoliberal world where English education has to be seen through the prism of economic value and capital. While youth unemployment is a critical issue in Bangladesh, as in many other countries, it is also true that often employers fail to recruit people because they do not have adequate skills, including English proficiency, highlights and gap between the skills needs of the RMG sectors, media and entertainment. The role of English in media and entertainment is modest as this sector uses mainly Bangla to cater to its domestic audience, as well as the Bangladesh diaspora around the globe. Hollywood films and Western music are a matter of private consumptions among the privileged household. Information in Bangladesh is communicated mainly through Bangla, although a significant role of English is understandable for cooling and processing news over overseas media outlets for local consumptions. Politics. Bangla is the language of politics and political expression in Bangladesh. Using a language other than Bangla in this field can be considered politically incorrect with serious repercussions. Although the major political parties, including the Bangladesh Awami League, The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the Bangladesh Jatiya Party, and the Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami maintain their official websites in English, and Bangla political programs and activities of each party are conducted exclusively in the latter. This is understandable given the history of the national language movement and strong linguistic nationalism that guided the War of 1971, which led to the separation of Bangladesh from Pakistan. All major policies parties try to influence popular opinions by direct contact with the people through political meetings and campaigns, protests, rallies, and other forms of mass gatherings where Bangla is used as the only language of communications. NGO. English is probably has the strongest presence in non-government organizations. The NGO Affairs Bureau, the government department for overseeing NGO operation in Bangladesh, although there has been little research on language use in NGOs, anecdotal evidence suggests that the majority of their written communication is mainly the English. And the findings are published mainly in English to facilitate understanding of their content among local people. Creative writing. Although creative writing in English is the region dates back to the early 19th century, Bangladesh writing is in English has yet to receive notable recognition. There are others who write in Bangla and then translate into English. Electronic communication in Bangladesh, email communication in Bangladesh is characterized by the use of English. However, in the public sector, email is not the official form of communication, even though it probably constitutes the dominant form of communication in the private sector. Mobile phone-based short message service constitutes another area of significant English use in Bangladesh as elsewhere in Southeast Asia. While emails are written mainly in English, SMS mixes Bangla and English. SMS mean Bangla and English and is often writes in Romanized script. Some government departments have started communicating notices and other information to their subscribers using SMS. They found various features of English use, such as code mixing and code switching, local innovations, abbreviations, and rule breaking. Question number 4. What is code mixing, code switching, and technology mediated innovation in Bangladesh? Code mixing and code switching are linguistic phenomena that refer to the use of multiple languages or language varieties in communication. In Bangladesh, where people speak various languages, code mixing and code switching are commonly used in everyday conversations, particularly in bilingual or multilingual settings. Code mixing occurs when two or more languages are used within a single sentence or discourse. For example, a sentence like I want coffee please is a code mixed sentence in which the speaker uses both Bengali and English words. Code switching, on the other hand, involves changing from one language or dialect to another within a conversation or discourse. Technology-mediated innovation refers to the use of technology to improve or enhance existing processes or to create new ones. In Bangladesh, technology-mediated innovation has played a significant role in various sectors, including education, healthcare, and finance. For example, the use of mobile phones for financial transactions, commonly known as mobile banking, has become increasingly popular in Bangladesh. Similarly, online learning platforms and telemedicine services have also gained popularity in recent years. However, a strong role of Bangla can also be predicted given the level of literacy skill of the recipients of their services. NGO make a significant contribution to the output of written English in Bangladesh. In addition to various reports and other forms of documentation, many NGOs are involved in conducting and sponsoring research in the fields of specialization and the findings of published mainly in English.
And that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching.